We see Bond in his office, cleaning his gun and drinking, and we never see him in his office. I didn't even know he had an office at MI6.
Wait, has Bond just got an office with a secretary? Is that where this is? He's not supposed to be at work. Why is he in the MI6 building?
But something's wrong. There's silencers are going off, and something bad's happening.
So many questions.
Oh my god, they killed Moneypenny. Moneypenny's dead. I did not see this coming. This is out of nowhere. That is a really cool shot of Bond reloading. He drops the mag, he loads another one in. It looks like he's done it before. He doesn't even look at the gun when he's doing it. That's a cool touch I think that's a really cool shot. Oh, it's a training fake out danger room kind of thing. I should have seen this coming with all of the X-Men we've had in the last couple of movies.
Why was Bond cleaning his gun in a VR simulation?
Oh, it was just a very futuristic VR. Wow. That's insane.
I feel like that whole attack on MI6 could have been a really cool action sequence if it was real. The fact that all of that was this elaborate setup for a joke, for a fake out, it really took me out of the movie. The Q scene is pretty good.
Another great callback was the shoe from Russia with Love that Bond was messing with around in R's lab.
It may have been taxing to reach this point in the Bond franchise, going through so many bad films, but it is still a lot of fun seeing all of these old relics that Q walks by.
We go to the Q lab and they have the jetpack from Thunderball.
I also think I saw the jetpack.
It's neat just being able to pick things out oh my god, that's what this thing looks like when it's not being used as a prop.
I like the reference. They had to do something, right? When John Cleese is it's a new watch. This will be your 20th, I believe. I think that's a neat touch. Just a little one in there to acknowledge hey, dude, we've made 20 of these movies. That is unprecedented.
Oh my god, it's the Moonraker backpack. Okay, this film's officially redeemed itself in my eyes. Yeah, you've called back to Moonraker. That means everything that's ever happened in James Bond films is all canon. It's all happened in a row. It's all there. The conspiracy is real, people. Bond is real. This is real. There was once a huge space fight between Elon Musk and the US space system. It's just, oh my god, my mind is exploding with the possibilities. I can't handle this.
I love the alligator boat in the background. There's all kinds of throwbacks in here to previous movies.
I swear I recognise this tube station. I'd love to know where this was filmed. I feel like I've been here. But then a lot of the tube stations look alike. But then they all have their own little individual flair,
But man, the invisible car is so dumb.
Can we really quickly mention the fact that the invisible car is the stupidest thing of all time?
And the way it's used in the movie, it doesn't make any sense. What's the point of that? And that's not how that works.
You get the Aston Martin Vanquish V12. It's an invisible car. This is cool. It's a cool looking car. It's fast. I like the look of this Aston Martin. And the invisibility effect is good enough for this time period. I'll give it a pass because this is 2002.
An invisible car. Okay. All my excitement's over with. This film. You Bond. Everything. The world. Everything that you stand for. Don't belong, don't exist. Is that a Slipknot song? Sorry, I think that's a Slipknot song.
Hey, Rosamund Pike is in this. She was, of course, Andromeda in Wrath of the Titans, and I think she was in some Ben Affleck movie a couple years after that.
As Bond heads off for Iceland, we do get a scene here of M and Miranda Frost talking, and it turns out that she works for M, so she's a spy as well.
So not only is Graves a lot like Drax from the books, Miranda Frost is also extremely similar to Gala Brand from the same book, except that she ends up being a villain.
That's good to know. She's, again, a better spy than Bond, because Bond didn't recognize her immediately, whereas everybody recognizes Bond immediately.
As much as I hated the character, Miranda Frost was hot as hell. And she knew what the deal was, because she slept with Bond 45 seconds after bringing her back to her room as a cover.
So it turns out Rosamund Pike is actually a deep cover MI6 agent. And then she's like, there's no way I'd have sex with James Bond. Ew, I don't even like boys or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to start my watch now. I'll start the timer and we'll see how long this takes.
Favorite henchman, Mr. Kill. That's a name to die for.
I'm pretty sure I have only ever seen this movie one other time in my childhood, but the green screen and bad CG as Bond drives across Iceland for the first time is ingrained in my brain.
I don't know if anyone else has realised this as well, but Iceland's not covered in ice. It's not. It's cold, yeah, but it's not covered in ice.
Anyway, they go to Superman's Fortress of Solitude.
Is this Superman's lair?
And Diamond Face shows up wearing the I Know What You Did Last Summer outfit.
This ice palace is redonkulous.
This is Superman's lair, right?
There's also a couple times where there just seems to be too much extravagance. Graves created a single-use ice hotel, but it has card-reading sliding doors. Okay.
I'm pretty sure this is Superman's lair.
And the less said about the ice palace and the sun, like, I mean, I'm telling you guys, this movie is straight up ridiculous.
Something about this Fortress of Solitude is not working for me. The whole place looks like a set from Batman and Robin, and everybody's dressed like they're in the Blade movies.
Yeah, this is Superman's lair.
This is like one of the most 2002 things I've ever seen.
Of course, Jinx is in Iceland as well.
Oh god, Halle Berry again. This is just terrible. Like, this conversation is just so unnatural. At least the blonde lady is like giving a bit of back and forth and standing up for herself. Halle Berry's like, I left you in an explosive situation. Sorry about that.
Bond rolls up to Mr. Freeze's nightclub. He finds out Jinx is there. Everybody's kind of coming together here. There's this big gala, and it seems like this is kind of where we're going to get the evil plot, because I haven't quite figured it out yet.
Anyway, we get some exposition on Project Icarus.
So this not Richard E. Grant is giving a speech about his new satellite Icarus, which seems to just reflect sunlight. Like, well done, mate, I've got a mirror that does that. And obviously, you know, the fact it's called the Icarus is definitely going to give James Bond some fuel for some sort of weird metaphor at the very end of the movie about how maybe you flew a bit too close to the sun. And yeah, but I swear, the guy at any moment is about to break into song and go, imagine all the people. And then right at the end, it sounds a bit like he's going to sing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So I kind of feel like the people who wrote this speech for the movie were maybe just stealing lyrics from the Beatles and Elton John.
Once again, it's a evil satellite.
Another example of too much extravagance. Icarus.
Basically, there's this thing called Project Icarus that Gustav has been talking about for a while.
Okay, so Mr. Graves is building Icarus, which is a orbital satellite that works like a giant solar-powered flashlight that shines down on the Earth and, like, presumably lights everything up, and I don't know where they're going with this, but it doesn't seem okay. I don't even know what this has to do with diamonds. I'm not quite following the plot here.
And it turns out that Project Icarus is a big old satellite in space covered in diamonds, probably, and it makes a big space laser, but nobody knows that yet. But this is the same as Blofeld's plot in Diamonds Are Forever. So that's kind of fun.
There's one bit during the speech where Mr. Graves is like, you have no idea how much Icarus is about to change your world. And Bond's looking around like, is anyone else hearing this?
Graves creates this ginormous satellite that basically creates like a second sun, so he has the power of the entire sun.
Now, the Doomsday device in this movie is really dumb because it's completely unnecessary.
I don't hate this concept, but it's just, it's a bit much with all the other things going on in this movie.
The solar ray powered by these diamonds is straight up Mr. Freeze, and it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's just too close to the episode of The Simpsons, Who Shot Mr. Burns? That Simpsons episode came out in 1995, so you know they got some inspiration from that.
Hey, look, this guy might be evil, but at least he believes in climate change, so it could be worse.
The second half of this movie feels like a Roger Moore movie, and not a good one.
So Bond uses the Cloak of Invisibility to sneak up on Mr. Kill, but of course he sets off the alarm before he even sets foot inside the facility this time.
So I'm not a big fan of the Dumb Ice Palace, but I do like the villain lair. He's got like this tropical dome in the Arctic. I feel like that's good enough, you know, like the Ice Palace was redundant.
I do like there's a scene here where Jinx and Bond have both broken into Gustav's like weird tropical biodome that he has in Iceland, and she's basically going to get killed by the Goldfinger laser until Bond comes in and saves the day.
I think the laser fight's one of the cooler action sequences in the entire film.
Oh, yeah, perfect. Just when I thought I couldn't get more 2002, we get a fight scene in like a entrapment Resident Evil Mission Impossible laser room where everything's going to get lasered up.
Where Bond has to save Jinx from Mr. Kill and the Goldfinger-style lasers.
OSHA would have a field day with how willy-nilly they use the lasers in this room.
Was that slow motion walk around the torture table with Halle Berry on it necessary? No, it was not.
But then there's a fun action scene where the lasers are just flying all over the place, and Jinx is still attached to like a table, except for instead of a table this time, it's like a robot arm that's swinging around all over the place.
I think that may be the first time Bond's ever had a your mama joke. Well done, Halle Berry. Well done.
And then she gets control of the laser and shoots a dude in the head with the laser.
Okay, it is actually pretty cool when the giant Samoan dude gets lasered through the back of the skull. I like that shot.
And then uses the laser to cut the dude's hand off so they can use his handprint to access secure areas.
It's neat.
Jinx is badass.
It's revealed, of course, that Graves is actually Kim Jong-un with a genetic facelift.
Oh, we also find out here that Gustav is not a white British dude. He's actually that Korean guy from the beginning, the one we thought died. Turns out he had gene replacement therapy, which changes your race and face and everything from an Asian man into a white dude, apparently.
Oh, man. Okay. Captain Flint is like the North Korean general from the beginning of the movie. He didn't die in the hovercraft crash. He lived, and now he has face-offed his way into Captain Flint. I did not see this coming. I think it's actually kind of an awesome touch. He's the samurai kung fu, North Korean general. I think this is actually pretty awesome. I like the reveal. Super did not see this coming. I think this could be really interesting.
The entire plot with like the DNA reconstructing where Colonel Moon becomes Graves. I mean, come on, man.
I'm confused. Am I watching Die Another Day or am I watching Lawnmower Man?
I like the idea that like the explosion put the diamonds in Zhao's face and he kind of like rolled with that. But then the genetic modification that kind of like makes him a half albino. It's just...
Diamond Face here is Rick Yoon. He was Johnny Tran in the Fast and Furious, the first one. He was Zenyi the X-Blade and the Man with the Iron Fists. I like him, and the blue eyes is creepy, but they don't really give him a lot to do here, and I think you have the makings for a very interesting character, but they don't really do much with him here.
Did I mention that Zhao has diamond shrapnel stuck in his face? Because that's a thing that happened.
It's so stupid, and saying it out loud really hammers home how unbelievably ridiculous it is.
So let me get this straight. You've got a North Korean dictator who faked his own death and then altered his genetics and took on a very involved, very public British persona, all the while building an Arctic base in an attempt to convince the world that it's a recently discovered diamond mine, when in fact they're using actual blood diamonds to fund and build a massive satellite laser death weapon of doom. Also that he can get revenge on Bond while also destroying the DMZ between North and South Korea and somehow get his father's approval.
Okay.
You can't have everything, racially confused Korean man!
This is just bonkers. I just don't know what's going on anymore. So I assume Halle Berry must have made Catwoman first because she seems to have borrowed the outfit while she's sneaking around this dome in Iceland. Oh my god, Bond, that is the worst bit of stealth I think I've ever seen. You're just standing at a window.
Bond is sneaking around the top secret area, and a dude walks up behind him and starts talking. Dude continues talking as he turns Bond around. Only problem, dude's mouth never moves. I thought I was going crazy or hearing audio from another app. Rewatched it, nope. They dubbed a non-speaking person.
Yeah, I nailed it. It took Emma Frost about 12 seconds to resist James Bond's charm.
This is crazy. You're a 00. I've just met you. And this is crazy. Here's my number, Bond. Call me baby. I assume she's just trying to seduce Bond, but I assume his penis will win out? Who knows? This is awful. Awful stuff.
Turns out that Miranda Frost has been the one who betrayed Bond all along.
Ah, so the blonde girl was working for the bad guy. Should have known. But But I assume Bond's penis has left its mark, and she'll eventually turn on the bad people and work with Bond. You know, just as it always does. Ever since Goldfinger. And that poor pussy galore. Poor pussy.
She knew the Korean colonel back in, I think they said at university. They were on the same fencing team, so she kind of fell in love with him there and became his inside person in British intelligence.
So Bond's kind of a dumbass.
Wait, so did Rosamund Pike betray MI6 and her country to North Korea so that she could win an Olympic medal in fencing in the Sydney Games? Did I understand that correctly? Is that why she flipped? I can't have heard that right.
And Miranda Frost is a weird villain because she thinks she killed Bond. So then she goes to see Jinx, who's locked in Bond's hotel room that's going to be melted because the hotel's made of ice and they're going to shoot the space laser at the hotel, demote the hotel just to kill Jinx. And she goes to the hotel room to see Jinx and say, yo, Bond and I totally had sex and now he's dead. And then she locks her in the hotel room again where she was already locked. So she just showed up to brag about having sex with Bond before locking her back in there again, I guess. Whatever.
Let me get this straight. After Miranda Frost rejects Bond's unwanted advances, she then immediately sleeps with him anyways, and he's not suspicious at all. Like, he lets his guard down enough for her to be able to get to his gun and get the drop on him. Like, there's so many things wrong with this.
Oh, she's got that look in her eye. She's fallen for James's Bond's charms. Yeah, it just makes me feel really uncomfortable and gross. I can't even make a joke about it. Sorry, I can't. Shouldn't be happening. This was the 90s.
I feel like that twist would have worked once again in like a Roger Moore movie, or hell, even a Sean Connery movie, but it doesn't fit here.
So yeah, what a villain she is.
My favorite gadget is probably the Bond's glass-breaking ring. I mean, it's really realistic for what it's supposed to be.
So Bond uses the ring on the glass floor, and that is cool. I like that. That is a very clever way of using that ring. I forgot he had it, and then he pops it out, he breaks it, it goes through the floor, causes all kinds of chaos, escapes. I think that is very clever. I like that.
And the award for campest exit ever goes to Pierce Brosnan on the zipline as he goes up to the top of the biodome. And then second, as he runs down the biodome. Pierce Brosnan was clearly too old to make this film.
Gustav's also got a taser thing in this scene, which is important because we're going to see that taser thing become a whole gauntlet thing and then eventually become like a whole Iron Man suit that he wears that controls the space laser, but it also is a taser gauntlet thing. So that's neat, I guess.
I know a lot of these Bond movies have been jumping the shark since Diamonds Are Forever, but this movie just goes so bonkers.
Case in point, the scene towards the end.
So Bond steals the superpowered rocket sled, but it turns out that Icarus is actually the orbital ion cannon from the Command & Conquer games, and it's controlled by a power glove. So basically everything that I thought was cool in 2002.
Bond escapes Gustav Graves, takes his rocket car, then skis off a glacier into some water and goes surfing.
I don't think this is how physics work.
So Graves chases Bond with his frickin' laser beam.
Like, I'm not a physicist, but this doesn't seem right.
Then we get Bond parasailing away from a tidal wave in the Arctic off the back of a sonic jet ski thingy to escape a giant laser weapon from space. Sure, why not?
I'm pretty sure we've had several films with multiple skiing scenes, so now we have multiple surfing scenes.
Worst parachute ever.
Okay, wow. Okay, alright, we are getting a surfing callback, and James Bond is parasail surfing a CG tsunami, and what is happening? What is going on here? This is really not good. I think I've heard references of people talking about James Bond surfing a tsunami before, and I just thought it was like a YouTube clip I missed or something. I thought it was like a parody. This is pretty bad. This is like, I'm watching this alone in my office right now and like with my headphones in, and I feel like embarrassed. You know, that kind of like where you just feel physically uncomfortable because something is so embarrassing, even though you didn't create it.
The parachuting surfing scene is hideous, and they should feel bad about that.
So I lost track. How many sharks have we jumped by now?
what happened to all the people? There was this big crowd of people. There was the gala and stuff, and like everybody, the reporters, and there was like, the 20,000 people wearing sunglasses. Like, where did they go? Weren't they staying at the hotel? Did they go home? They're in a field in the middle of Iceland, right? Is nobody else seeing what's going on right now? Oh man, I do love Rosamund Pike as a psychotic villain. She nails it. She's so good at it. You get it. These are the sickest burns of the entire movie when Rosamund Pike is going after Halle Berry. Is it bad that I want her to like kick Jinx's ass here? I don't know. I'm into this. Something about this is triggering like the part of my subconscious that continually drives me towards unhealthy female relationships.
30 seconds later, he sneaks back into the base to grab his car, where we have another, better chase scene. What's with that?
Oh god, this invisible car is just the worst. Surely it's going to have like snow sitting on top of it, or like people just going to walk into it. It's just so... It's just the most unrealistic thing. It really takes you out of the moment. The thing we like about Bond is the fact that it feels like it could be real. Oh look, there we go. The man on a jet ski just crashed into it.
Then, if that's not ridiculous enough, Bond and Zhao have a gadget fight in their cars.
So we end up with this car duel on the ice, and it's not bad. They've got, two souped-up cars attacking each other, and, it's kind of neat to see James Bond's gadget car going up against a rival gadget car. I like that, and I like that it's not just them, like, shooting each other's bulletproof armor. One will shoot missiles, the other will activate countermeasures. They're going backwards at the same time. They're facing each other. There's a pretty neat, like, punch-counter-punch. It makes it feel like a duel. I really like this. That said, The Fate of the Furious did it better.
And that the scene where Bond and Zhao have their big car chase scene with the gadget war.
Bond's car is great, tons of gadgets, and I love that they just, made gadgets up on the fly. Bond didn't have to train in it, and in fact destroy the manual.
There's a cool chase scene here between Zhao and Bond, where Bond is in his Vanquish, the invisible car, and Zhao is in like this convertible with a chain gun off the back of it.
Well, Johnny Tran's Jag is actually pretty dope with the Gatling gun backseat and the missiles. That's pretty cool.
It's ridiculous. It's so over the top, but hey, it's pretty fun.
It's pretty cool. I was talking to Eric about it, and we kind of agreed that having a Bond and a villain have like a car gadget duel off is actually a really cool thing. I mean, the context is just terrible, but had they put this in like the streets of Monaco or London or something like that, it could have been really, really cool. Instead, it's just them like chasing each other around on an ice rink, essentially.
Good thing about this movie, as ridiculous as it is, the car chase / battle between Zhao and Bond is fun. The amount of gadgets each car has while still looking cool and armored seems excessive, but I want to know if that Russian scientist guy is just like the Russian Q they stole or something. Any other movie, he'd be the villain. Zhao's car has just enough armaments as Bond. Even a battering ram and a rocket launcher.
There's a great part in it where Bond ends up, his car gets flipped over, so he's upside down. He opens the sunroof and launches out the passenger ejector seat, which causes his car to flip back over just as a missile comes flying at him, and so he dodges the missile by flipping the car. It's neat, it's ridiculous, but it's fun.
Some of the camera editing is really weird. You get like some music video kind of editing styles, like quick pans to slowdowns.
And then enter the terrible techno. Right, I can't watch this. The music's just too bad.
After a car chase that goes on for like just a bit too long, Bond just casually drive-bys Johnny Tran by like nonchalantly shooting a friggin' gigantic heavy-ass chandelier and dropping it point first onto his face. Then he just totally blows right by him and saves Jinx by hitting her with his car.
Bond manages to save Jinx and kill Zhao.
Oh, by the way, this was the 30 minutes left to go in the film. So, same pacing problems as the last film. They just flip romance and intrigue for action.
Bond and Jinx have followed Gustav back to North Korea, where he has kidnapped his father and is going to launch the Icarus laser at the demilitarized zone to get rid of all the mines so that North Korea can invade South Korea. And American and British intelligence are like, we gotta stop that. There's no sign of South Korea intelligence in this scene, which is disappointing and weird. But anyway, Bond and Jinx end up like flying mini plane boogie boards into North Korea, I guess.
Oh, and I love those switchblade planes. When they jump out, those are pretty cool.
That's cool, whatever.
Bond and Jinx team up to take down Graves.
Jinx and Bond drop into North Korea wearing Falcon suits.
Wait, was her name Agent Johnson? Is that a Die Hard joke? I think that might be a Die Hard joke. I hope that's a Die Hard joke.
And then they set up with sniper rifles about 6 inches from the gate of the North Korean base.
And sneak aboard a plane.
And they end up on the plane with Gustav, who's now in his Iron Man suit.
What on earth is that suit?
They board the plane, and Captain Flint is working on a mech suit out of nowhere.
Someone somewhere thought this fucking dumbass outfit looked cool.
Graves' mech suit looks so stupid.
Is this an Iron Man ripoff? What?
The suit that Gustav Graves wears at the end, the low-rent Starship Troopers armor that controls the laser. How does this beat the briefcase?
The glove already looked like a Nintendo Power Glove. The rest of the suit looks like it belongs in Captain N and the Game Masters.
Yeah.
What is this?
This thing is an affront to God. And your eyeballs.
I love Microsoft trackballs, though.
The ion beam doesn't kill the plane instantly, but it does blow up the ground.
Oh, by the way, there's a giant satellite blowing up the mines in the No Man Land zone. Well, because why not?
I'm unsure about the power level of the ion cannon. It can shear a piece off of a glacier in like 6 seconds, but it takes 20 minutes to melt the ice hotel. I don't understand the actual power of this thing.
I do like that moment when Graves calls the general dad, and he just says, "I don't know you." Made me laugh. I don't know if that was intentional.
You're alive? Boy, you're alive? Why have you got Iron Man suit?
So Graves kills his pops after he calls him out for being a crazy Bond villain.
Yeah, it's just a big action scene.
Why is there a dojo on the plane? Why is anyone thinking of these questions? Who puts a dojo on a plane?
Miranda and Jinx end up fighting each other, which is fine, while Bond and Graves are fighting each other, which is fine. This part, it's not the best ending action scene we've had, but it's been okay.
Jinx fights Frost, which is kind of a cool sword fight.
And then the movie even ends with Jinx and Frost sword fighting.
I'm like uncomfortable with how much I like Rosamund Pike better now that she's a bad guy.
Why is the blonde girl in underwear?
What's with the sexy outfit Frost has on during a fight with Jinx on the plane? They got on the plane to start a war, and the first thing she does is go to the back to get on her yoga pants and relaxing bra?
Oh well, no complaints from me.
I mean, Grave puts on the outfit from Future Sport, and Miranda's like, "I'm not about that life." Even though you start destroying the minefield 30 minutes after takeoff.
There's a big sword fight with Jinx and Emma Frost, and I know that Emma Frost is not her name, but it's like we've got Storm, and I'm on the X-Men thing, so Emma Frost, Rosamund Pike, they're having a sword fight. It's not too bad. They do a lot of speed-up stuff presumably because these two women don't know how to sword fight in real life. It's fine. It works. It looks good.
The Jinx and Frost sword fight.
Yeah, this fight between Halle Berry and the blonde girl in her underwear is terrible. But I just can't take my eyes off it for some reason. I don't know what it is. I just can't stop watching it. It's just awful.
It's probably the most interesting in the way it ends. So Jinx kills Frost with a sword through the art of war through Frost's chest.
And then Jinx ends up winning it by kicking a copy of The Art of War through Rosamund Pike's chest.
And when she's done with that, it seems like she just sits there and waits to deliver this great corny punchline instead of looking for a way to escape.
Read this, bitch. I'm sorry, Halle Berry, but you are no Sigourney Weaver, alright?
I mean, I get it. I'm all for a well-timed corny joke, but it's not worth dying over. She is an NSA agent. She should have not had to wait for Bond to save her. I mean, it didn't stop her any other time in the movie.
To be honest with you, the one between Bond and Iron Man isn't one much better either.
Bond fights Graves.
Why does this suit make sound effects when he swings at Bond? But you know what? Mad respect to Vlad for thinking of everything.
Your friends have bailed. Oh, this is like a terrible version of the ending to The Living Daylights. Not great.
There's a good line in it, though, where Gustav basically has Bond beaten, and the plane has flown through the Icarus laser, so it's like crashing. And he goes, "Oh, look, parachutes for the both of us!" And then he just throws a parachute out the open window of the plane and goes, "Not anymore!" And I kind of like that.
Graves electrocutes Bond with Palpatine lightning.
What is this film? What is going on? How have I watched this much of it? How have I not turned it off? What's wrong with me?
How is Bond not dead yet?
And Bond kills Captain Flint by Air Force One-ing him into a jet rotor.
As Graves says, "Time to face destiny," Bond says, "Time to face gravity."
Then, of course, Bond ends up beating him up and pushing him through the plane engine while he's being electrocuted by his own Iron Man suit.
Ooh, sucked into a jet engine.
That's a heck of a death.
And Graves gets sucked into the plane's turbine.
Didn't it happen to someone in Indiana Jones? Didn't it happen? He was having a fist fight?
I will give it that that's a pretty cool villain death.
Oh no, he got chopped up by a propeller. Close enough. And now the plane's crashing. Oh great.
Some of the death scenes, particularly, actually all the death scenes on the plane towards the end, where General Moon is killed, and then when Jinx kills Frost, and then when Graves gets his, they're all filmed really strangely. They're really up close. You can't always, I mean, you know what's going on through context, but it's like, it just doesn't look good.
Okay, apart from the Moonraker jetpack, best moment of this film is James Bond and Halle Berry sliding down the red ladder. Yeah. Oh, red steps. That was brilliant. Just completely unnecessary. Just, whips his legs over the banisters and whoosh, slides down to the bottom. Hilarious.
Bond and Jinx escape out the back of the crashing plane in a helicopter.
God, is this film ever going to end? Now I've got to watch these vehicles slowly drop off the back of the plane, one by one. Oh, there goes the red Ferrari thing. Lamborghini's gone. Just waiting for the helicopter to slowly fall off this plane. He hasn't even started up with the propellers, which, sorry, but, definitely won't be up to speed by the time you get them going and you hit the ground. No, there we go, it's falling out the plane, and down, down, down we go. Should have started the propellers before you got off, man. Should have started them up.
The escape from the crashing plane was great, dropping a few $100,000 worth of cars into rice paddies.
There's no way that red car is hitting the ground like that, nose down, and just not crumpling into 6 billion pieces. This film.
And auto-rotating the helicopter.
The action's over, and we cut to MI6. Bond comes through the door, Moneypenny is there, and it gets super tense, and then they start making out, and it's another fake out. Okay, this is another training fake out. Okay, actually, this is pretty funny. I like this part where she's just Moneypenny's all embarrassed that she ran the simulator. I think this is great. I'm a little sad that these sequences with the simulator are total filler. They don't fit with anything else in the entire movie. They don't have anything to do with the plot, but they included the best joke, one of the best action sequences, definitely the best scene of tension, and it's all kind of centered around this plot element that is just thrown away just for these two parts that don't fit in with anything.
Oh, why is Moneypenny having virtual sex with James Bond? Why is that programmed into the VR?
We then see Moneypenny getting freaky with the holodeck.
I thought the VR scene at the end with Moneypenny was humorous.
I mean, Q walks in as if what are you doing? But Q, you, Mr. Cleese, you programmed that into the VR, you dirty old man. You programmed sex with James Bond into the VR.
Although it felt still a little out of place.
This movie is just killing me so much.
At the very, very end of this movie, when Bond last kisses Jinx, the camera cuts to behind Bond, where we can clearly see scarring. It ain't much, but I really think that should have been made visible in the hospital scene at the beginning of the film to kind of show the amount of trauma that Bond has already been through, not just, I don't know, at the end it just feels weak.
There's the instance with sex on a bed covered in diamonds. Everyone's got their own little kinks, so that's cool, but I imagine that would hurt.
Okay, I'm at the end of the film now. James Bond is obviously having sex in some sort of pagoda with Halle Berry, who's far too young for him as far as I'm concerned, so it's making me very, very creeped out.
In the end of the movie, we don't get Bond and Jinx in a boat. They did take a helicopter, though, to some little hut on a cliff overlooking the ocean where they're rolling around in diamonds.
Have you ever held a diamond? I have. That is not going to be comfortable. That is not going to be good to have sex on. That's going to be like having sex on a bunch of thumbtacks,
Which is weird because Bond's Bond likes luxury, but he likes being at a luxurious hotel. He's not oh man, look at this stack of cash. I'm so turned on by this stack of cash. But I guess Jinx is turned on by it. He's putting diamonds in her belly button and stuff.
And of course, Bond ends the movie on top of a girl again. He's with Halle Berry. They're in some house that presumably they found when they flew their helicopter to it. It's super awkward. Their banter is bad. They have no chemistry. I preferred him with Denise Richards in the last movie. It's not good.
Oh, no clue how much the diamonds were worth at the end of the movie. But still, those are conflict diamonds. They can't really be sold if you have a conscience. They will most likely sit in a bin of government evidence for all time.
That's going to be really sharp and very uncomfortable. These two are kinky as. Alright, I've just had enough of this film. That's it.
The whole time I watched the diamonds in the belly button scene, I kept wondering if it would get stuck. That would suck. And I imagine other places where loose diamonds could end up, that wouldn't be too pleasant either.
Yeah, that's alright.
I'm kind of disappointed this one didn't end on a boat. I felt like it needed a solid boat ending.
And that is Die Another Day. It's not good.
And my god, yes, this is probably the most awful James Bond film I've ever watched.
If you haven't seen it, you're just listening to us. First of all, why? Second of all, don't watch it. Just skip it. Skip it. Watch GoldenEye and then skip right on to Casino Royale.
All in all, Die Another Day is definitely not the best Bond movie.
Overall, the drama falls so flat.
As a personal reflection, I still think Pierce Brosnan is adorable, so he's on top of my list for Bonds. But apparently growing up, I only saw GoldenEye. Rewatching these movies, I'm realizing that everything after it has been just forgettable or really pure garbage. Sorry, Pierce. Again, love you.
We still have unnecessary secondary love interest / sidekicks, although at least Halle Berry kills some people in this one, not just gets in the way. And the female villain / foil was basically tied to the villain in a throwaway line towards the end. Hell, even the villain doesn't show up 49 minutes into the film. The villain! Pacing. Terrible.
They had too many villains between Moon, Zhao, Mr. Kill, and Miranda, and too many heroes like Bond, Jinx, and Miranda.
It sucks that this is Pierce Brosnan's last outing.
I wanted to like it, but I don't.
But I do think that I would rank it slightly higher than The World's Not Enough. Because at least this movie wasn't really trying to be serious, like it was going for goofy. And I mean, it succeeded in that regard.
This movie's just wild. I mean, I know it's of its age. It's very 2000s. It's got a lot of the dramatic speed up and slow down footage stuff that everybody thought was cool at the time. That just looks real tacky today.
I like to compare these films to the 4 Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher Batman films. They came out around the same time, roughly. I mean, a few years later on the Bond side, but you start with the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton Batman. The Bond equivalent, of course, would be GoldenEye, right? Where it's kind of like a reinvention of the wheel as far as the franchise goes, and it's very well received. Then you've got Tomorrow Never Dies and Batman Returns. Both are kind of in the same vein as the first one. They're pretty close tonally, not as good or maybe not as well received. And then you go to The World Is Not Enough and Batman Forever. Tonal shift. Maybe they're leaning in the wrong direction towards a past version of the franchise. And then Batman and Robin and this pile of crap, Die Another Day, are both equally, well, I'm not going to say equally bad. Batman and Robin's way worse, but they're equally stupid. And they're both very unwatchable. They have kind of similar plots, really stupid, goofy doomsday devices, really bad acting, and just kind of inferior product versus the previous 3 installments. And both of them caused a complete and total reboot of the franchise. So they do have a little bit in common. They both have way too much surfing in them for their particular franchises. And like I said, similar doomsday devices.
But I think given that it was a follow-up to some of the better Bond movies in the series with GoldenEye and Tomorrow Never Dies, it really fell short.
The helicopter falling out of the jet is the perfect example of bad CG, bad cuts, and a lot of awkward grunting and moaning all packed into a single unnecessarily lengthy scene. This riddles the film.
Puzzling things in this movie. What was Michael Madsen's job? He was supposed to be like the director of the NSA, but they don't get to boss around generals. South Korean, American, they don't have that kind of power over the military. I thought the Icarus was a useless weapon in the long term of it. Usually there's more build up to the master weapon the villain's going to reveal, but because this movie's pacing just felt unused for most of it. I don't know why they had a command and control 747 with no air support, flying not high enough to dodge missiles, too low enough to maneuver. the US doesn't put their leader of a battle on a plane on the front line. And I wonder if the plane going down would have English warnings. I mean, if it was a Chinese knockoff, it probably wouldn't, but, I mean, warning, going down.
And it's pretty bad. It's really bad.
It was ambitious, we saw some new visual things, but this was yet another step away from what GoldenEye did. I've complained about this in a few of the older films, but there were a lot of scenes showing people going places.
I do like the start of it. I like that Bond is kind of on his own for a while, just like living off his reputation. That's kind of neat, but he gets back into good graces pretty quickly, and then the movie just keeps doing weirder and crazier and more bonkers stuff.
Like the Schumacher Batman films that leaned way into the 60s Adam West Batman feel versus the more gothic Tim Burton feel, well, The World Is Not Enough, and particular Die Another Day, I feel veered way too far into Roger Moore Bond territory.
At least the Roger Moore films, the bad ones, like at least they had a bit of like almost comedy to it. But, you know, James Bond having sex with Halle Berry on a bed full of diamonds.
Whereas GoldenEye kind of reset the template. You know, it showed you, here's how to kind of modernize this franchise without getting into this really stupid junk that dates it, makes it really goofy, and kind of gets a lot of people to tune out. And each subsequent film with Brosnan, I feel like learned the wrong lessons about their individual film and then doubled down on those wrong lessons in the next installment. So each successive film, you're getting a less and less return on your investment. I don't think anyone would argue that each of the 4 Brosnan Bond films are decreasing in quality with each chapter. You know, GoldenEye's the best, Die Another Day's the worst. There's not any like kind of spike up where like, well, 2 was crap, but 3 was good. You know, they're all just kind of there. You know, and after rewatching this, there's no wonder they decided to go a whole new direction, and I'm really glad that they did.
My favorite vehicle is going to be the jet that flew through a friggin' laser beam and basically made it out on the other side. No other vehicle in this movie is that tough, and honestly, the Aston Martin really just doesn't do it for me.
Bad things about this movie. The flirting between Jinx and Bond in Cuba. Between that and the sex, it's 15 minutes of the movie that could have been cut.
Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. You wasted Halle Berry, a late 90s Halle Berry too, like, shame on you.
The pacing in this movie leaves a lot to be desired. It's about 45 minutes too long. They could have eliminated about half the Iceland scenes, could have cut most of the Cuban moments, cut the direct sex scene, especially the fig part, cut the hospital to a simple smash and grab, remove the Jinx part in Cuba completely, and cut the first escape and chase scene. Just merge it with the Aston Martin part. You can feel Brosnan's tiredness in the role, and they keep making him do extreme sports like Triple X. I think Jinx was a waste of an ally, like the last movie. I think having just Miranda Frost double-cross Bond would have been great, and he could have completed the entire rest of the mission without Jinx. The acting from Halle Berry wasn't the best either, and we can tell from a Razzie from Catwoman a few years later.
But the bigger issue is that the plot's just way over the top. Like, you could have a space laser as your kind of plot of the movie. You could have gene therapy that turns your race from one thing to another thing as the plot of the movie. Having North Korea as a villain for the plot of the movie is kind of cool. There's a lot of things in this that could be neat, but just putting them all together in one movie,
you can't have everything, racially confused Korean man,
just makes it so over the top, and it's just bonkers.
I will definitely say this movie is a lot more fun than I remember it.
Die Another Day is a piece of crap. Shame on you. Shame on all of you for making this.
The kills of the villains were pretty decent. Zhao getting crushed by an ice chandelier, and Moon being pulled out of the plane into the engine, they're great. But I really thought the scientist being sucked out the first thing was the most humorous thing I've seen in a long time.
I think initially I was a lot harsher on it because it felt like this was the last Bond movie we were ever going to get.
I'm not sad that they decided to reboot the franchise and go a little grittier after this. Most of the time I'm against the gritty reboot, but Casino Royale I think is going to do it right.
It's similar to how I felt about Batman and Robin back in the 90s, because it was like, well, that's the end of Batman, you know? But obviously we've had some really great films since then. So, you know, it's easier to go back to some of these like really campy, cheesy entries and enjoy them for what they are.
And if I didn't know Casino Royale was next, I would have watched this and been like, I think this series is probably done. They've probably taken it everywhere they're going to go. They're out of ideas. They got nothing left.
It's almost unwatchable. It's not as bad as some of the Moore films, but it's certainly in the conversation.
I know I've been pretty harsh on this movie, but I got to give it credit where credit's due. It's dumb fun. It's stupid, but in a good way, sort of.
Favorite death would be my mental constitution when this was over. So thanks for that.
Please, don't come back. All right? This was terrible. It wasn't worth my time.
So that was Die Another Day, and thank God we're done with that pile of dog crap.
The one good thing about this is that this movie flopped so hard that the producers had no choice but to go back to basics and rebooted the franchise.
Stick around for next time when things get real. Really, really real. And not like the really grounded, more realistic. And yeah. Anyway, Daniel Craig takes over and is my new favorite James Bond, and Casino Royale is next, and it is totally sweet.
So next we have the Daniel Craig movies, which I'm pretty new to, but we're almost done with this all, right?
And in so doing, we got one of the absolute best Bond movies of all time with Casino Royale.
And Casino Royale is the shit.
Check it out.
Podcasters Assemble Season 003 is a production of the We Can Make This Work Probably podcast network. Find more of our shows at probablywork.com and learn how to contribute to future episodes of Podcasters Assemble by looking us up on Twitter at Casters Assemble or joining our Discord server, link in the show notes. Submissions are always open. Thank you to everyone who was able to contribute to this episode. Be sure to check the show notes for links where you can find them all online. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
At Probably Work.
For more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.
The hovercraft.
Speaking of unbelievably,
So of course, naturally, the song got nominated for a Golden Globe.
stick around next time when stuff starts really getting real.
I kind of don't want to watch the end credits. Not that I don't usually watch the end credits, but I kind of just want to turn it off. Why am I still watching this? I blame you, Eric, and you, Tyler, and you, Troy. I'm done. It's just this. Yeah, I give up.
Podcasters Assemble will return in
Casino Royale.
Oh, thank God.